Sig Sauer, name speaks for itself. We're going to take a look at the Sig P290. Small subcompact 9mm with the polymer frame and the stainless steel slide. They do have the stainless steel that is black nitron, but this is the two-tone and I really like it. And this is also the RS version, which means Restrike, and we'll look at that in a minute. Comes with a 6-round magazine. While we're at it, the gun is unloaded. You also get an 8-round extended magazine with a larger base plate. And it also comes with a small paddle holster. And of course a lock for me to throw in my drawer with all my other locks. A nice owner's manual, very detailed. This is a hammered fired, double action only semi-automatic pistol, and that means that when you pull the trigger, you can see the hammer comes back. Very consistent every time, same trigger pull. Now, with the double action only, you're going to get a pretty long trigger. And that's the reason why you don't really need a safety. Very similar to somewhat of your revolvers. But one of the things about this is it's very smooth and it's very consistent. With your striker fired pistols, those are also very consistent. But your striker fire is going to have a lot shorter of a trigger travel. So with the double action, it's really smooth, but it is long. It's about a little over 7-pound trigger pull. One thing too to note is that it has a really long reset. In fact, you come all the way almost completely out before you get the reset. There's very little over travel after the reset. This one does come with the night sights, but it also has a nice rear sight to be able to cock on a belt in case you're injured and you're trying to reload with one hand. You can also adjust these by drifting them over for windage. This is a really nice sight picture for such a small pistol. Just a little bit larger than some of your molded in sights for many of your subcompacts. And yet it's really pretty snag free. Now it does have a slide release, and this is going to give you just a little bit on the side of the frame, but it is a nice option to have. And while we've got it open, let's take a look at this barrel. Very unusual bell-shaped barrel. This may be something from the Pilgrims, I don't know. This is going to give you a solid lockup with the barrel and the slide. It locks in place, there's not going to be any wobble, and this is going to help with your accuracy. The slide is a nice brushed stainless finish, and they do make the black version with a black nitron, still stainless, just covered in black nitron. The serrations are ample, able to pull your slide back with ease. Sig Sauer P290 RS right here on the slide. And then right here on the barrel is a 9mm para and a Sig. There's some nice texturing on the back strap, right here in this panel, and then on the front strap. So it gives you a nice little bite to be able to grab hold of the pistol. But also there are these scallops here on both sides. And so when you put your hand into the pistol, it really has a very ergonomic feel to it. One of the things you're going to notice though is the slide is pretty thick. It's a solid 1-inch thick, and it just gives you a little bit of a beefiness. But because of the way this frame goes, it's actually thinner at the frame than it is at the slide. You've got a slight beaver tail right here to be able to get the web of your hand under it, and it really feels good in the hand. Now the base plate that's provided has a small lip right here with the 6-round magazine. I really like that small little lip on the base plate because it allows you to get about 1/4 of your pinky to 1/3 of your pinky right there. Gives you a little bit of something to grab instead of just letting it hang underneath. But that works as well. The first few times I ever shot any of these small micro pistols with my finger hanging off the bottom, it felt kind of uncomfortable, a little bit strange. But once I started shooting it, I realized that it didn't really make that much of a difference. You do get a good grip on the gun. With this texturing, it really helps to retain it. You don't feel like it's coming out of your hand. But I do like the option to be able to put that pinky right there. It gives you a little bit more stability. Of course, with the 8-round magazine, it gives you a lot of stability, and it really feels more like a full-size pistol. Even though it does look kind of funky, this is a great way to be able to go to the range, shoot it. Also to keep this magazine as a backup in case you need it, and then you're going to have 8 rounds instead of the 6. They are nice, stainless, very high polish, smooth. One thing I did notice when inserting the magazine is it does catch a little bit, and the more I have inserted it in and out, the more smooth it's gotten. But if you don't really like that, you can depress the magazine release and slide it in there. Of course, the magazine release has been reduced somewhat from the original version. It was sticking out a little bit, and magazines could deploy without, you meaning to hit it. And so with this, it's a little more difficult just to accidentally hit it. You have to really mean to, but it really pops out quick. One thing I will say about loading the magazine is these sharp edges sometimes catch on your fingers. Of course, the real test is heading out to the range. This holster is a nice addition. It's just nice to have something. I am going to replace this, of course, with something for concealed carry, but it really makes it just nice to be able to go to the range if you want to, or just stick it on your hip, and until you do get your concealed carry holster. Holster's adequate. It's not really what I like. I don't like it on the outside. I like it inside the waistband. Open carry, if you like to carry it on the outside of your pants. Not really a lot of retention, just kind of open. I think with running, it could come out. But it is made for the laser too. I don't think this holster is necessarily for serious work, but it's a nice complement to the set. And it gives you a holster right out of the box. One thing's for sure though, this holster's not coming out. You're not going to pull the holster out when you're drawing the gun. As you can see, look at those teeth. So this is really going to be a good setup. It doesn't have a lot of retention, as I've talked about, but nonetheless, for what it is, it's not too bad. It is made in Israel, so I'm assuming this is a Phobos. I'll tell you, to be honest with you, and this may just be because of the way this gun shoots, I didn't tell a whole lot of advantage on having the finger groove here. It just shot well. It was very controllable. The felt recoil was not bad at all. And maybe because of this small lip. If you put the flat base plate on here, that might give you some issues. But really, I didn't tell any noticeable difference between the two. I'm sure there are some advantages, but great backup, great primary. Now here on the bottom of the frame is a little rubberized pad, and that is to fit your laser. And we're going to look at the other side and how to remove this when we disassemble the pistol. Now the trigger pull is long, but it's really smooth. You can see the hammer being actuated. Again, reset is all the way out. Then just a little bit of travel afterwards. It is a very smooth trigger. It's going to be long, but it doesn't take long to get used to it. Now I've mentioned this is the P290 RS, and that means Restrike. So if you're firing a pistol, and let's say you hit a round that's just a dud, or a light primer strike, instead of having to eject the round, you can just double click it. And that a lot of times will fire that round. And then of course if not, you can rack the slide, pull the round out. Now like this Waller PPQ, which is a striker fire pistol, if I fire the round and it's a dud, then I can't fire it again. I can't bring the hammer back against the firing pin. So I have to definitely withdraw the round immediately. So that can be a real advantage with the Restrike, to be able to hit that round if you have a light primer strike. Now disassembling the pistol to me is a little bit tricky, a little more so than most of your SIGs. And of course you want to make sure the gun is unloaded, no magazine in the mag well, and you really need to extend the slide a little bit back farther to get that pin out. Right here on the other side is where your slide stop comes through, and you need to push it through. Now this can be done with your hand, but it's kind of tricky, especially with this brand new gun. So I'm going to use a punch, but you can also take a 9mm shell and catch the rim of it and pull this out as well. Pops out, and then the whole slide just comes right off the frame. We're going to take away our guide rod. It has double recoil springs, and these are just laid into place. They're not captive. It is a polymer recoil guide rod. The barrel's a little bit different. You kind of lift it up because of the bell shape, and it actually goes into this slot and comes out of that slot. And then here's a good shot of the barrel as it bells out, and then it has a nice polished feed ramp, and then of course the standard SIG locking block system. The slide inside is extremely well finished, which is typical for SIG. They just do a fantastic job. I mean, the whole appearance of this and the polymer frame is just extremely well done. The rails are here at the front and then right here at the back. So you don't have a complete rail system. It's more similar to, your Glock systems or your striker fire pistols. Now inside the frame you can see where the little pad here that you fit your laser onto, what you do is turn it. And when you turn it a certain way, it'll drop out, and then you'll be able to attach your laser very easily. You can take this little rubber piece, turn it with your hand, and be able to pull it out. Then just slide it right back into place. Reassembly, you want to get that bell of the barrel at an angle, push it through. Get the end of your recoil guide rod. You want to go through the hole right there in the front of your slide and then rest it right on this little notch. Slide it onto the frame, get it into that rear position. Snaps into place, you're ready to go. As I've said, these panels are removable. You have a pin right here. To drive the pin through, take a small punch, and I'm just taking a little brass hammer. It pops out. Panels come right off. Now you can replace these with some more fancy grips that are offered by Sig. I know they do G10 and some other designs. Just dovetailed into the grip. Just pops right back into place. Now the P290 is very similar to most of these small micro 9s that you're seeing, which is the Kel-Tecs, the PF9, or the Car 9s, even the Ruger LC9. But you're still getting 6 rounds plus 1. Now my concealed carry is the Glock 26, and one of the reasons why I like it is that it's 10 plus 1. With the 8-round magazine, of course, you're going to be able to up that, but you're going to add to the length of the pistol. But to give you a good comparison of how the Sig P290 stands up to the Glock 26, just wanted to show you a few things. And one of the things, though, is I have just a extended base. And one of the big things is the length of the pistol. And the Sig actually is 3/4 of an inch shorter. Now, as far as height, the Sig P290 is actually 1/4 of an inch longer than your Glock 26. But the thickness is a big difference. Even though the Sig P290 is fairly thick, if you look at it, it's 1 inch. The Glock 26 is 1 inch and 1/8. What's surprising is they both weigh right around the 22-ounce mark. The Glock weighs just over 22 ounces. The Sig P290 weighs just under 22 ounces. And of course, that's unloaded. But one of the big differences between the two is the frame width. The Sig frame is considerably smaller than the Glock 26. The Glock 26, now I have these pads on here, but even without the pads, is still 1 1/4 inches. The Sig is just under 1 inch. Plus, there are these nice scallops right here, and this really makes it thin when you're grabbing the pistol. This is a much thinner pistol than the Glock 26, but still fairly comparable in size. The Sig P290 was fantastic at the range. The sights were easy to pick up. Even though it's a small handgun, it shoots similar to a larger handgun. No, the frame's not quite as long. It's not like shooting my Glock 17, but it sure is great and very manageable for concealed carry and really to be able to get accurate shots. So being a Sig, there were no surprises that I would like the gun. What really surprised me is how much I like this little pistol. I got my target, so here's 4 shots at 7 yards at this milk box. Be strong. Be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. One of the big differences between the two is the frame width. You can see that the Sig P290 is actually just a touch longer than the Sig, how the Sig P290 stands up to the Sig. Well, that figures. No magazine in the chamber. This is the small subcompact 2mm.
Say hello to my little friend.